Today I want to share how I travel with my type 1 diabetes. I know that a lot of you are struggling and thinking that diabetes might stop you from doing some long-term travels or even some short-term travels, but I want to share what experience I've made in the past couple of years because I'm traveling basically non-stop. I'm constantly on the road going from Airbnb to Airbnb, and I managed it somehow with my type 1 diabetes. So the first thing I want to share with you is to get prepared. Get your doctor on board, let him know what you're planning to do. If it is a short-term travel and you don't have experience, of course with that, he's going to help you. But if it's a long-term travel, it's going to be even more important that you share your plans with your doctor. I'm experienced with travels up to 6 months. I'm sure over that is also possible, but it's definitely going to be a little more complicated. So get your diabetes supplies ready. That's the first thing you want to do. Make a checklist of the things you are going to need. So for my example, I need insulin, I need catheters, I need sensors, and I need things so I can deal with problems. So in case my sensors all don't work anymore for some reason, I have the option to measure my blood sugar. I have a pen, an insulin pen, in case my insulin pump doesn't work anymore. Of course, acetone strips and all these things you have at home too. I'm making a list of it. I'm going to think about how much of everything I'm going to need in those 6 months, for example, and then I'm going to double the amount and I get that amount so I'm well prepared for any problems I'm going to have on the way. Sometimes your diabetes suppliers might not want to give you that much at one point. So for example, I'm always getting my Dexcom sensors for I think 3 months, but that's not going to work for me. That's why I'm telling them that I need more because I'm going to be gone. They always need a date for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm telling them specifically when I'm going to leave and when I'm going to come back, so they know exactly that they have to give me so many sensors for this amount of time. So it's the same thing with the catheters. I have to tell them from when to when I'm gone. A mail is enough, and then they send me all of the supplies in advance. Sometimes it is important to make some pressure. So if you, for example, have messed it up to plan for your travels, you gotta say that you're gonna leave in a week or in 2 weeks. Then they're gonna send your packages away even earlier before everybody else probably. Then for my travels, I'm sure everybody knows who has a lot of diabetes supplies like I do. These sensors and catheters and all of that, they come in a ton of plastic. And I'm not going to have space in my bags for all of that stuff. So what I'm personally doing since years now is I take those things. That's where 10 catheters usually get delivered in. Now I can't show you anymore how it comes in originally, but I unwrap it from all of the packaging and I'm just stuffing all the stuff into these boxes. So here are well more catheters and other things for my insulin pump inside than it is coming in. So I don't know, I would imagine that contains 31 of those things, and these are the catheters. There's probably another 30 in here, honestly. So of course the problem is when you unwrap it, you gotta be aware of that this might bend a little bit, but you just have to handle it carefully, obviously. So just unwrap it if you don't have enough space, put it in here. I personally keep it in these original paper boxes, just because if I get stopped at the border or whatever happens, I can tell them what it exactly is. I show them the label and then it shouldn't be a problem anymore. Never happened to me, but that's how I do it. And the same thing I'm doing with my insulin too. I'm going to show you how I unpack that because that's maybe a little more tricky. So here I'm having all of my insulin stored in. That's a normal Tupperware box, and I'm keeping all of my insulin again unwrapped from the original packaging in this plastic bag, which is for sure not ideal. You have to be really, really careful handling this because, you know, if you drop it one time, you're out of insulin because the glass of the insulin things here might break. So that's very not the safest way, but for me it works because it just takes up too much space and I'm handling it carefully. I'm, by the way, traveling in my van, so if you travel on foot and you're just walking around with a backpack, it might be a little trickier and you might want to keep it in your plastic wrap. But that's how I do it. I I made it a little safer by putting some paper towels around it, so it has some cushion, but it's definitely not the ideal way, but for me it for sure works. And yeah, that's how I keep my insulin with me. It stays in my fridge. That's another point I wanted to share. Well, you have to keep your insulin cool for like the temperature of your fridge usually. And on your travels, if it is up to 1 day or so, I personally don't worry. They say to keep it cool as long as you can. Don't take it out of the fridge if it doesn't need to. So yeah, that's how it is. I don't worry about my insulin if I can't cool it for up to a day. If it's longer than that, you should probably bring a cooling bag. But for me, that always worked just fine. I guess that's it what I want to share with you today. I hope it was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if you have any other tips. I would love to hear it, and see you soon.